theory. There are 3 levels of theory. There are 3 levels of social theory. The one level of social theory is what I call a tacit level. Tacit level. Yeah. And that is a theory that we all carry around with us about the world. We couldn't survive unless we had a theory in our heads about what will happen next. That I will continue, you will assume that I will continue to talk here and conduct this class until what time? Yeah, well, we'll see. Until 5. You have an implicit theory that I will actually turn up when next? When will I turn up next? Tuesday. What time? 3:30. So that you cannot operate without all sorts of expectations, theories about how the world works. And what happens, of course, when I don't turn up on Tuesday at 3:30? We'll cry, we'll leave. No, that's not very sociological of you. Just cry and leave. Okay, no. Yes, you might do all those things, but how would you understand what had happened? What would you think? How would you explain this strange phenomenon of Professor Borovoy not turning up at 3:30? How would you explain it? Yes? What would you say?
You're taking a nap.
Taking a nap. Well, yes, taking something anyhow. Yes. You're James. Jason.
Ask other students if they know what's going on.
Ask other students. That's what you respond. You know, you're such a pragmatic class. I want to know what's going on in your head. I want you to be sociologists. What would you think? How would you explain? I'm taking a nap. That's one explanation. What other explanations? Yes.
Maybe you got into an accident.
Maybe I got into an accident. Now I see a more sympathetic approach. Yes. Any other ideas? Yes.
We're at a meeting.
I'm at a meeting. That's a conception of a professor. Always at meetings. Fascinating, hey? What, yes? I'm taking a holiday, or it is a holiday. Next Tuesday. Maybe a holiday for you, it's not for me. Or perhaps you think professors are always on holiday. Yes, that's right. I may think it's a 2-day holiday. Absent-minded professors, yes. Yeah, well, all your explanations would contain within them some set of assumptions that have found a theory about how the world works, in this case, how professors tick. Yeah, right. You'll see. Okay, very good. That's what I call tacit theories. And tacit theories, sometimes we really become conscious of a tacit theory only in a sense when they are violated, when something happens that violates our expectations, contravenes our expectations, and then we think, why? Whoa, it violates how we understood how the world works. But most of the time, all these tacit theories are implicit. We don't even think about it. We just act. That's very different from the next level, which is I call middle range theory. Middle range theory is the sort of theory you probably learn in most of your courses. I don't know what courses you take around here. What courses do you take in sociology? Anybody taking a course in sociology here? Very encouraging, yes.
Course 121, Innovation and Entrepreneurship.
Innovation and Entrepreneurship. What did you learn there?
We didn't learn anything there.
We haven't? Oh, you're just taking it? Oh, yes. I'm talking about courses you may have taken in the past. For example, yes. Aha! What did you learn in sociology of gender?
We talked about a lot of things, but we talked about intersections of race and class and gender.
And what was being explained, do you remember?
How basically, if you're a minority and if you don't make a lot of money and if you're a female,
yeah, that's almost our definition of screwed. If you're a minority and if you're female, you don't make a lot of money. That's a definition of being in a very underprivileged position. Yeah. Why just, yeah. What, yes. What were you, alright. How many people take 133 here? Quite a few people. Was there anything that was attempted, I assume we took it with Rock Array? Yes, may have done. Hey, so what was she trying to explain? Was there anything trying to explain? Or is, yes?
That gender is not just a binary, and it's more broad than just male and female.
There are multiple genders. Yeah.
And the gender has different repercussions in different societies.
Differently in different places.
Very good. Or it has different repercussions and its cause, the character of gender, its construction looks different in different times, different places, different countries. So one's trying to explain gender relations, whether it be the gender division of labor, what men and women do, or how men dominate women, possibly, yeah. In some cases, how women dominate men. Did Rocco talk about that? No, well, maybe not. Okay, very good. All right. Social movements, that's middle range theory. And very clear problems around gender, the consequences and causes of gender relations. What about social movement? Anybody taking a social movement course here? What's the question in a social movement course?
How organizations and groups kind of mobilize resources and affect policy.
Very good. So it's how we actually get groups, collectively organized individuals, organized into groups, and with what consequences and with what antecedents. What is the cause of collective mobilization? And sometimes people have theories about having resources to organize as necessary for again, middle range theory. Much of the sociology you have studied so far, insofar as it is theoretical, is middle range theory. We are going to move to what I call grand theory, the third level. Grand theory. Whoa. Now all this middle range theory is usually embedded in what I call grand theory. And what is grand theory? First and foremost, grand theory is very grand. It is an attempt to understand the trajectory of societies. to comprehend the overall direction in which societies evolve, change, and transform themselves. And in order to do that, you have to know a lot of history. Indeed, we will see you need to actually make certain philosophical assumptions about what society is and what human beings are. So, grand theory, because it is so grand, is going to involve an engagement with history and with philosophy. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to examine a series of grand theories. We will start with Adam Smith, and we will move on to Marx, and from Marx to Lenin, from Lenin to Gramsci, from Gramsci to Fanon. That's this semester, and next semester we will start with Durkheim, move on to Foucault, and then Weber, and then feminist theory. In each case, we will examine the assumptions of the theorist. The assumptions, the founding assumptions, the foundation stones upon which the theory is erected. That's the first thing we will do. We will then see what are the sorts of questions the theorist in question is asking. What sort of questions are being posed. And then we will also examine the sorts of answers the theorist offers, the possible answers the theorist offers. And we will also see that each theorist operates with a set of models or metaphors about human society. They may use the metaphor of the human body. Durkheim is very much attached to the idea of likening society to the human organism. Others have much more mechanical views. When we come to Marx and Engels, they have a much more mechanical view of the way society transforms itself. But that is essentially the project we will be engaged in this semester and next, the interrogation of these grand theories that have very broad ramifications and visions about how the world operates and changes. These grand theories, we might say, are like windows on the world. They give us a lens through which we can see how the world remains the same and transforms itself. How the world has been different in the past and how it is different in different places. It is the biggest vision that sociology offers. And those visions inform the middle range theory that you learn in your other courses in this department. And once you graduate from 101AB, you will find these theorists in all your courses. And you will stick up your hand and say, well, Marx would have said this. And so got his ideas from Durkheim. You will see how, in fact, this middle range theory that you learn is deeply embedded in these grand theories. Okay, any questions? Any questions? Yes?
Can you give the definitions of the middle range theory?
Oh, definitions, right. Middle range theory engages in the formulation and confirmation of explanations for significant public issues. It is concerned with explaining specific phenomena, social movements, gender domination, organization of work, environmental degradation. Specific phenomena are the focus of the analysis. Whereas grand theory has much bigger questions about the general transformation of society. Okay, yes, any other questions? Right. Okay, now I'm going to give you another analogy of social theory. Social theory, as a cognitive map, as a map or a cognitive map. So another way of thinking about social theory. Yeah. What is a map? A map? A guide? A map? Hands up, anybody know? What's your name? Jane.
Description of the area or world.
A description of area or world? Yes. Any more? Yes. Yes, thank you, yes.
It's a symbolic demonstration.
A symbolic demonstration of?
Whatever it's trying to portray. I mean, most maps that we see are geographical, but we see different kinds of maps that aren't just geographical.
Alright, what's a geographical map then? Let's be more concrete. Yes. A visual representation of a land area. Yes. In fact, you're right. I mean, the meaning of map has exploded. But a geographical map, which is the first maps that we come across, is a representation of a terrain, a space. And there are different modes of representation. Different projections, as the geographers would say. So what do we do? When we talk about a map of the world, what is that? That is a two-dimensional representation of a three-dimensional world. It is mapping a spheroid onto a plane. what we find in maps are different projections. In other words, different simplifications. Different simplifications. And we will see that theories are also simplifications. The world is incredibly complex. And therefore, as social theories have to actually seek simplifications. We cannot handle that complexity. So what different theories do is offer us different simplifications. That's my first point. I'm going to have 7 points here for the analogy with a map. So that's the first one. Different theories, different simplifications. Yes. Now different maps have different projections, but they also have different perspectives. Some present Europe at the center of the world. Some present the United States at the center of the world. Some present Africa at the center of the world. These are different perspectives on the world. Different maps, different perspectives. Different theories, different perspectives. Some theories take the perspective of the marginalized. Some theories take the perspective of the middle class. Some theories take the perspective of the dominant class. Different theories, different perspectives. Some theories take the standpoint of men. Some take the standpoint of women. Some take the standpoint of, or claim to, humankind. Yes, so that's the second point. Different theories have different perspectives. Also, different maps have different purposes. You know, there's a difference between a road map, an aeronautical map, a geological map, a forestry map, and also some of those amazing social maps that we can find, or social atlases that we can find today. Social atlases that tell us, that sort of map around the world the different environmental problems, climate change, or the in different countries can be mapped now in terms of the inequality of income, or levels of poverty, or gross domestic product, or what have you. But anyway, there are different maps, have different purposes, so social theories. Different social theories have different purposes. Different social theories have different purposes. Some theories, the purpose seems to be to study society at a distance. Other theories seem to be engaged and want to basically have a vision of social theory as the transformation of society, the promotion of revolution. Other theories are concerned with preserving what exists. Different theories have different purposes. We will see that. Fourth, you have to learn to read a map, to use a map. Some maps are really complicated to figure out. In the same way, we'll have to learn to read theory. We have to see theory as a language. We're going to have to learn that language. So like maps, we learn our way around, and to use maps, we will learn our way around and to use different theories. Fifth, maps, as was suggested at the beginning, allow you to do what? They allow you to make inferences about the world. I get my map out, and I can figure out how I go from Oakland to Berkeley on my bicycle. Which is why I wouldn't turn up at 3:30 on Tuesday, because I had an accident, right? So, a map allows you to make inferences about the world. Inferences tells you, how to go from A to B, how to understand the variations in poverty, perhaps, in different places in the world, if we're talking about a social map. So maps, most importantly, can be used to draw conclusions about the world. Same with theories. Theories allow you to draw conclusions about the world. Sometimes those conclusions are not always accurate, but conclusions they all offer us. They all offer us conclusions. Yes, they all offer us accounts of the world. They are, in a sense, often, once we get really absorbed in them, guides to the world. Yep. And also, interestingly enough, and I think this is my 6th point, yes, maps can actually change the world. Once you map the world, then one moves across the world, and one builds cities and rivers and dams in different parts of the world, and then the world changes, and then you have to change the map. So map changes the world, and the world changes the map. So theories are the same. Theories too have consequences in the world. Adam Smith's theory of the division of labor that he wrote in The Wealth of Nations has had consequences, is still cited, informs how many people in the world act, particularly those in powerful positions, and therefore in that way actually transforms the world. And so in principle, the theory itself should move on and be reconstructed in accordance with the effects it has upon the world. So in a sense, theories are reflexive. They lead to action that then changes the world, that requires some change in theory. So, that's the 6th point. And the 7th and last point is this. It starts with a question. Are some maps better than other maps? Are some maps better than other maps? If you had to decide on certain criteria for a good map, what criterion would you use? How would you say one geographical map is better than another?
How accurate it is?
One notion is how accurate. The inferences about the world, how accurate are they? It's no good me looking at the map and seeing the way from Oakland to Berkeley, and I follow the map and I end up in Sausalito. I've done worse. Yes. So maps have to be accurate. That's one thing. That's one way of examining things. How accurate are theories? Yes, at the back. Very good. How detailed are they? Some theories are more detailed than others. Some maps are more detailed. That's often linked to the idea of accuracy. But yes, detail is very important. Yes, what other ways of distinguishing between maps might there be, Jane?
How interpretable?
How accessible? How can we actually understand Hegel when we read Hegel? Or do we just have to pretend to understand? Yes. How accessible are our theories? That's a very important point. How accessible? We're going to see that the theories that we read through some are much more accessible, interpretable, as you put it, than others. Yes. How interpretable? Yes.